Hello, this is Siren Janine, and for today's video, I'm going to be reading The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, Chapter 4. For the previous chapters, please see my Handmaid's Tale playlist, as I will be reading each chapter. Chapter 4. I walk along the gravel path that divides the back lawn, neatly, like hair parting. It has rained during the night. The grass to either side is damp, the air is humid. Here and there are worms, evidence of the fertility of the soil caught by the sun, half dead, flexible and pink like lips. In the white picket gate, open and continue past the front lawn towards the front gate. In the driveway, one of the guardians assigned to our household is washing the car. That must mean the commander is in the house, in his own quarters, past the dining room, beyond, where he seems to stay most of the time. The car is a very expensive one, a whirlwind, better than that of the chariot, much better than the chunky, practical behemoth. It is black, of course, the color of prestige or a hearse, long and sleek. The driver is going over it with a chamois, lovingly. At least this hasn't changed the way men caress good cars. He's wearing the uniform of the guardians, but his cap is tilted at a jaunty angle, and his sleeves are rolled to the elbows, showing his forearms tanned, but with a stipple of dark hairs. He has a cigarette stuck in the corner of his mouth, which shows that he, too, has something that he can trade on the black market. I know his name, Nick. I know this because I've heard Rita and Cora talking about him, and I once heard the commander speaking to him. Nick, I won't be needing the car. He lives here in the household over the garage, low status. He hasn't been issued a woman, not even one. He doesn't rate, some defect, lack of connections, but he acts as if he doesn't know this or care. He's too casual. He's not servile enough. It may be stupidity, but I don't think so. Smells fishy, they used to say, or I smell a rat, a misfit as odor. Despite myself, I think of how he might smell. Not fish or decaying rat, tanned skin, moist in the sun. I filmed with smoke, I sigh, inhaling. He looks at me, and he sees me looking. He has a French face, lean, whimsical, all planes and angles, with creases around the mouth where he smiles. He takes a final puff of his cigarette, let it drop to the driveway, and steps on it. He begins to whistle, then he winks. I drop my head and turn so that the white wings hide my face. He's just taken a risk, but for what? What if I were to report him? Perhaps he was merely being friendly. Perhaps he saw the look on my face when I mistook him for something else. Really, what I wanted was the cigarette. Perhaps it was a test to see what I would do. Perhaps he is an eye. I open the front gate, and it closes behind me. I look down, but not back. The sidewalk is red brick. That is the landscape I focus on, a field of oblongs, gently undulating where the earth beneath has buckled from decades and decades of winter frost. The color of the brick is old, yet fresh and clean. Some sidewalks are kept much cleaner than they used to be. I walk to the corner and wait. I used to be bad at waiting. They also serve who only stand and wait, said Aunt Lydia. She made us memorize it. She also said, not all of you will make it through. Some of you will fall on dry ground or thorns. Some of you are shallow-rooted. She had a mole on her chin that went up and down while she talked. She said, "Think of yourselves as seeds." And right then her voice was wheedling, conspirational, like the voices of women who used to teach ballet class to children, who would say, "Arms up, in the air now, let's pretend we're trees. I stand on the corner, pretending I am a tree." A red shape with white wings around the face, a shape like mine, a nondescript woman in red, carrying a basket, comes along with the brick sidewalk towards me. She reaches me, and we peer at each other's faces, looking down the white tunnels of cloth that enclose us. She is the right one. "Blessed be the fruit," she says, an accepted greeting among us. "May the Lord open," I answer, the accepted response. We turn and walk together past the large houses towards the central part of town. We aren't allowed to go in there except in twos. This was supposed to be for our protection. Though the notion is absurd, we are well protected already. The truth is that she is my spy, as I am hers. If either of us slips through the net because of something that happens on one of our daily walks, the other will be accountable. This woman has been my partner for 2 weeks. I don't know what happened to the one before. On a certain day, she simply wasn't there anymore. And this one was there in her place. This isn't the sort of things you ask questions about because the answers are not usually answers you want to know. Anyway, there wouldn't be an answer. This one is a little plumper than I am. Her eyes are brown. Her name is Offglen. And that's all I know about her. She walks demurely, head down, red-gloved hands clasped in front with short little steps, like a trained pig's on its hind legs. During these walks, she's never said anything that was not strictly orthodox, but then neither have I. She may be a real believer, a handmaid in more than a name. I can't take the risk. "This war is going well, I hear," she says. "Praise be," I replied. "We've been sent good weather, which I receive with joy. They've defeated more of the rebels since yesterday. Praise be, I say. I don't ask her how she knows. What were they?" Baptist. They had a strong hold in the Blue Hills. They smoked them out. Praise be. Sometimes I wish she would just shut up and let me walk in peace. But I am ravenous for news, any kind of news, even if it's false news. But it must mean something. We reach the first barrier, which is like the barriers blocking off the roadworks, or dug-up sewers, a wooden crisscross painted in yellow and black stripes, a red hexagon which means stop. Near the gateway there are some lanterns. Not lit because it isn't night. Above us, I know, there are floodgates attached to the telephone poles for use in emergencies. There are men with machine guns in the pillboxes on either side of the road. I don't see the floodlights in the pillboxes because of the wings around my face. I just know they are there. Behind the barrier, waiting for us at the narrow gateway, there are 2 men in the green uniforms of the Guardians of Faith, with the crests on their shoulders and the berets, the swords crossed above a white triangle. The Guardians aren't real soldiers. They're used for policing and other menial functions, digging up the commander's wife's garden, for instance. And they're either stupid or older or disabled or very young, apart from the ones that are eyes incognito. These 2 are very young. One mustache is still sparse. One face is still blotchy. The youth is touching, but I know I can't be deceived by all of it. The young ones are often the most dangerous, the most fanatical, the jumpiest with their guns. They haven't yet learned about existence through time. You have to go slowly with them. Last week they shot a woman right about here. She was a Martha. She was fumbling in her robe for her pass, and they thought she was hunting for a bomb. They thought she was a man in disguise. There must have been such incidents. Rita and Cora knew this woman. I heard them talking about it in the kitchen. Doing their job, said Cora, keeping us safe. Nothing's safer than dead, Rita said angrily. She was minding her own business. No call to shoot her. It was an accident, said Cora. No such thing, said Rita. Everything is meant. I could hear her thumping the pots around in the sink. Well, someone will think twice before blowing up this house, anyway, said Cora. All the time, said Rita. She worked hard. That was a bad death. I can think of worse, said Cora. At least it was quick. You can say that, said Rita. I'd choose to have some time before, to set things right. The two young guardians salute us, raise 3 fingers up to the rims of their berets. Such tokens are accorded to us. They are supposed to show respect because of the nature of our service. We produce our passes from the zippered pockets of the wide sleeves, and they are inspected and stamped. One man goes unto the right-handed pillbox to punch our numbers into the CompuCheck. In the returning pass, one of the peach-colored mustache bends his head to get a good look at my face. I raise my head a little to help him. He sees my eyes, and I see his, and he blushes. His face is long and mournful like a sheep's, but without the large, full eyes of a dog. Spaniel, not a terrier. His pale skin looks unwholesomely tender, like the skin under a crab, a scab. Nevertheless, I think of placing my hand on it, on this exposed face. He is the one who turns away. In an event, a small defiance of rule, so small as it's undetectable, but such moments are rewards that I hold out for myself, like the candy I hoarded as a child at the back of a drawer. Such moments are tiny possibilities, tiny peepholes. What if I were to come at night when he's on duty alone? Although he would never be allowed such solitude, and permit him beyond my white wings, what if I were to peel off my red shroud and show myself to him, to them, by the uncertain light of the lanterns? This is what they must think about sometimes as they stand endlessly inside the barrier, past which nobody ever comes except the commander of the faithful in their long black murmurous cars, or their blue wives and their white-veiled daughters, on their dutiful way to salvagings or prey veganzas, or their dumpy green Marthas, or the occasional birthmobile, or their red-handed maids on foot, or sometimes a black-painted van with the wing eye on the side. The windows of the vans are dark-tinted, and the men in the front seats wear glasses, double obscurity. The vans are surely more silent than the cars. When we pass, we avert our eyes. There are sounds coming from inside. We try not to hear them. Nobody is perfect. The black vans reach checkpoint. They're waved through without a pause. The guardians would not want to take the risk of looking inside, searching, doubting their authority, whatever they may think. If they do not think, you can't tell by looking at them, but more likely they don't think in terms of clothing discarded on the lawn. If they think of a kiss, they must then immediately think of the floodlights going on, the rifle shots. If they think instead of doing their duty and the promotion to the angels and of being allowed to possibly marry, and then, if they are able to gain enough power and to live to be old enough, of being allotted a handmaid of their own. The one with the mustache opens a small pedestrian gate for us and stands back, well out of the way, and we pass through. As we walk away, I know they are watching. These two men who aren't yet permitted to touch women, they touch with their eyes instead. And I move my hips a little, feeling the full red skirt sway around me. It's like the thumbing of your nose from behind a fence or teasing of a dog with a bone held just out of reach. And I am ashamed at myself for doing it, because none of this is their fault. These men, they are too young. And then I find I'm not ashamed at all. I enjoy the power of a dog bone, passive but there. I hope they get hard at the sight of us and have to rub themselves against the painted barriers surreptitiously. They will suffer later at night in their regimented beds. They have no outlets now except themselves, and that's a sacrilege. There are no more magazines, no more films, no more substitutes, only me and my shadow, walking away from the two men who stand at attention stiffly like a roadblock, watching our retreating shapes. Okay, well, that is all for chapter 4. Stay tuned for chapter 5 and so on. To see chapters 1 through 3, see the Handmaid's Tale playlist. Okay, well, thank you everybody for watching. Sweet dreams.